And so the people of Queenstown who are here, let me hear you. Once more, let them hear the people from Queenstown. And tell the world that we did not provide government transportation and force our 10-day workers and force our teachers and public servants to come here. You came here because you believe in APNU. Let them know that. Say that to the world. Because they are misusing state funds for this campaign. They are misusing the workers, the Speaker, Comrade Morris Walcott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Residents of Dartmouth community and all those who would have traveled from the various areas to come to this rally, I greet you this evening in the name of our mighty party, the PNCR, where by extension, the APNU. Comrades, this afternoon, I would like to share my thoughts and my views with you. And first of all, what I would like to say, 2020, Guyana became under seizure by a group of gangsters by the name of PPPC. And what they set out to do is to punish poor people continuously. Imagine during the time of government, they spend trillions of dollars. What they say they're doing, the development of public infrastructure. Comrades, we all know this whole issue of corruption, cheap roads, dilapidated buildings, and many other things that we can talk about. We are seeing today, under this corrupt regime, this bunch of gangsters who is headed by the Barlett script. They're giving us wafer-thin roads. They're building board cage for buildings that only lasts for just a moment. They're destroying the public service, the agriculture industry, the education, health system, the police force, and the army. Not to forget the NIS, National Insurance Scheme. Comrades, they will come around in our community and bombard us by saying they care. But I want to say today, if born in all those children in the dorms at Madja is how they care for us in this country is something for you to question. I will also like to mention the young 11-year-old Adriana Young, whose murder is a cover-up, swept under the carpet, along with our very own from this Dartmouth community, Orrin Boston, and not forgetting the Army helicopter that crashed and killed 6 of our servicemen. And to date, it's a big secret. That is gone. Their partners, they opened that bridge for free. And what that say to us is that our NIS money's gone down the drain. Comrades, we all know the importance of the National Insurance Scheme. And is destroying all these institutions that serve us very well. And when we talk about it, the things that they're doing to us is passing the laws to muzzle us. We cannot speak. They pass the laws in Parliament so that when you open your mouth to protest and speak, they jail you for a cybercrime. Comrades, election time is here. And this is the time when we are in the position to make decisions. The PPP gangsters, they're coming around community, especially African community at these times. And they pretend to love you so much. They give you small contracts to clean the trench just a short time in your community. But things like weed in the roadside, which is an ongoing contract, they give that to their friends and their favorites. They don't make the gaslight you, my friends, to use people who you're well acquainted with in your community to coerce you, to give up your power at this place of polls, to put them back in office. Of emancipation. And what emancipation means to us? Our foreparents would have freed us, fought feverishly, and free us from enslavement. What I want to say to you, my friends and comrades, come September 1st, we all have a duty. to fight and free this country from the hands of these bunch of gangsters, these criminals, these bastards, and so many names you can call them. Remember, come September, vote for the palm. September 1st, make it your duty. Look on the ballot paper at the top, right-hand corner. Look for the palm and put an X in the box. Go to the bottom. There will be another palm there for the regional, and you put another X there. Be careful not to make the X touch the line. Comrades, I implore you before I go, because there are lots of speakers coming after me. Despite of all the struggles and every other thing that you're going through now, don't be despair. The APNU is always here. Under our leadership, Aubrey, Compton, Norton, an astute gentleman, and a statesman who is honest, and we can rely on him to take this country forward. We know that people are punishing, but there's light at the tunnel. The APNU have a well-crafted program to deliver this country out of the hands of these gangsters and the effects of their brutality. I know for a fact we have some copycats. I just want to touch on a few items here, but I know that they will come later on. The APNU will give the public servant 35% increase in salaries. And we have some copycats around saying that they will give you 50. But I want to say to you, we only talking about 35% increase in the salaries. But then we will also pay your light bill up to $10,000. And your water bill, we will take up to $5,000. With the tax threshold going up to $400,000, if you're earning below that, you will also have money in your pocket to take home. So I leave you with the maths. You calculate it. That is far much more than the 50% that they're talking about. We have a powerful manifesto. And they're trying from everything that we try to do. But I want to say to you, don't be afraid. You will hear more from my colleagues who would come after me. You will hear more from our presidential candidate all about
Walcott. Comrades, let me say to you, we have our godly policemen, and I think they are here. And I want to strongly believe, whether by instructions or by their work, whenever the PPP has any event, they cause the traffic to be diverted so that they can have proper events. Can we ask them at this stage to use their good office, and as they would have treated the PPP, not to have disruptions during their meetings and rallies? if they can kindly divert the traffic so that we have a smooth rally here. Are you in agreement with that proposal? Let them hear. And that is not to cast aspersions on our policemen and our military personnel, because the best advice for them, because they are voting on the 22nd of this month, I want us to tell them that we have the best package for the military, and the APNU government is the only government to take care of them. We are asking them, we are advising them that they should put their X only next to the palm come the 22nd, that is their day of voting, so that they vote. Policemen, wherever you are standing, whether in uniform or in plain clothes, know that we love you and we are encouraging you to vote for us. Applaud our policemen and our military in advance. Ladies and gentlemen, at this stage, I want to bring on this stage a very young individual, a single woman, so to speak, and nobody is to correct anything on this stage when I introduce you. So may I introduce at this stage a woman from this community, Comrade Aubrey Garraway. Kindly applaud, comrades.
Good night, Essequibo. Dartmouth, are you here? All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I'm here to remind you why you shouldn't vote for Cup. I am here to remind you of Mr. Clifton Garraway, the police and their brutality. I'm here to remind you about Orange Boston and the police and their corruption. I'm here to remind you of young Mr. Williams from right in the corner there, who was gunned down, no redress. I'm here to remind the Pomeroon people that that officer Welcome is one of us, and we have not received an answer as to why he is dead. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I want you in this village especially. I've seen some of you going around with them red jersey, taking 100 and 150,000 to share jerseys. Ladies and gentlemen, talk to them children. What's wrong with you? Are you mad? So much children community was murdered by the police under this administration. No justice. We forgetting Adriana? She belongs to Essequibo. Our roots is from Essequibo. Ladies and gentlemen, talk to them picnic. I beat them drum, tell them picnic why they got to vote for APNU. It is the only party that cares. They say they care, yet after we gave boats and buses and bicycles and buses and books, they took all away from them. They parked those buses and allowed them to rot. Don't forget the community center right down at the bottom there, where they locked the doors for years. Wicked, stink, and dirty. That is what they vote for. Ladies and gentlemen, this election is not about you and me. We done big, you know, but it's about them little ones. We children, we grandchildren. You hear? Them farms where we planting and we produce rottening. We ask we ball feel fix. And you tell me for lying. And it's now they're fixing it because it's election time. Now they're fixing it. They fix all the rest. Now they come at Dartmouth. Now they fix ball field. Ladies and gentlemen, use wisdom. Use wisdom. Speak to your children. Ask them to do the right thing. We can't afford that every time this government is in office, our children keep dying, if not by the police. And you know what the hurtful part? Is that we killing we. Oh, we are kill out Matty. Them a say now we for kill Matty for one pittance. Oh man. Only today I heard a story. Comrade. She was a, and then who remember the Mocha story? Where was Win? Where was Mr. Win when the people of Mocha was being victimized? God sensed my people. Where was Win when the Henry boys were murdered? Where was he? I lost my brother in 2007 by the hands of a policeman. Sisters, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, I come to remind you why you mustn't vote for COP. I am here to remind you that jaguar and leopard don't change the spot. Them thing does bite. When they're hungry and they can't get their food, they does bite. Them does eat people. You get my drift? You get my drift? So tonight, brothers and sisters, we have places like Somerset, Koja, Lower and Upper Pomeroon. Selective people farms are being drained. Because if you look like me, you're in problem. Right? Right across the road, a house is being built. And that person asked for that house so long. But it's election now. Thank God for election. She get in a house. Glory be to God. Take your house and don't vote for COP. Take your 10 load, son, but don't vote for COP. I said take your 150. Take your 50. I thank you.
Why we cannot develop and build that man in Aubrey, Norton? A man without brothers.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we applaud our previous speaker? And may I ask the people who are responsible for the audio to just be kind enough to report that backstage and maybe to remain there so that we can be in good standing. The audio person, I understand the name just given to me, is Mr. Peter. When you are on stage here, you give them their correct name. Peter. And he has a Bible name, so that you have to call his name correctly, as we are doing on stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I invite the other speaker, that person is a young man from this community. You know him. I know him. And as I said just now, we all know him. And regardless of how we know him, I understand, and I very well believe that he's the best youth, not only in this community, but in this region, to come forward. I now invite Comrade Aldrin Shepherd to speak with us.
Who did nothing, no corruption. A man who has served this country with dignity, respect, integrity. What more are you waiting for? What more? He knows himself. He's very tactical. And it's somebody who you can trust. Some of you say, me like how the man look, how he's getting face and all them things. You don't want face, you want heart. You want heart. You want heart. What you do, you want heart. Step up. Step up. Green is the way to go. You will have to.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good night, DARTMOUTH. Good night, Squibble. Good night, APNU. How are you feeling tonight? How are you feeling? Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You know, as I was standing at the back, listening to my colleagues and your applause, I realized that victory is already here. Put your hands together and say victory. Put your hands together and say victory. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Aldrin Shepherd. I hail from this very community, DARTMOUTH. As you know, DARTMOUTH is a community with a very rich history. It's a community that has been shaped and built by the sweat, blood, and sacrifice of those who fought for their independence. The community of DARTMOUTH is a community that has gone down in the history of this country as a community that was built by Maroons and those who would have fought against our oppressors. I say this because I want you to understand that even though we were once colonized, I believe that this administration is trying to take us back there. But we're saying to this administration that we would have had enough. And on the 1st of September, I want all of us, when we go out there to vote, we vote the PPP out once and for all. Put your hands together again and say victory. Let me hear you. victory. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here as a young man who is not wielding power, but I stand here as someone who understands your struggle. I stand here as someone who understands your pain. I stand here as someone who understands your suffering. And I am saying to you that we cannot continue like this. We cannot. We cannot continue like this because of several reasons. And I'm going to state those reasons here tonight. Guyana is like never before. We're a country with multiple resources. I believe that the resources that we have in this country is sufficient to ensure that every Guyanese live a reasonable and decent life. Because of corruption, because of bad governance, we have seen many youths and family day by day cannot provide basic meals to take care of themselves. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me, my people? Yes, we're saying that the time has come for the resources of this country to be distributed equitably to every family, to every individual, every citizens of this country, so that we can all live the life that we dream of. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, the PPP government, the representatives of the PPP, they like to go on social media and on the television and boast about their track records. They speak about massive infrastructural development, and they speak about sharing out $100,000. But let me give you the honest track record of the PPP over the 5 years that they would have governed this land. In 2020, just as the PPP would have taken office, we had the slaying of 2 young men, 2 young boys, the Henry boys. Do you remember that? It was one of the most horrendous and gruesome acts, I believe, ever happened in the history of this country. We are saying to the PPP government, you will not get the opportunity to kill our people while we sit and allow you to do that. On the 1st of September, we're going to remove you from office so that our people can continue to live. In 2022, we had one of the largest drug busts in this country. Guns. The PPP speaks about security and safety. How is it certain individuals are allowed to have access to those high-profile artilleries? Of certain citizens being in possession of such weapons. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see that the PPP is condoning with wickedness. And we're saying that we're going to remove the PPP from office come on the 1st of September. In 2023, the PPP continue with their corrupt practices. We had the Prince in Blue on the scene, who now parades himself as the Good Samaritan, building a few houses here and a few houses there, giving out some shillings here and giving out some shillings there, and have some persons, I don't want to say certain things now, but some persons who I expect to know better, feeling as though as if it's an angel sent from heaven, failing to realize that the very wealth that this man would have attained is as the result of your expense. Do you think that is right? This very man, father, had the audacity to say that he would have protected the PPP to the point that he would have given them guns. Why is it this individual, who was once or probably still is a friend of the PPP in disguise, is now acting as if he's the savior of this country? Where was this individual before the sanction? Why wasn't he out there helping the poor and the vulnerable? I want you, my people, and when I say my people, I'm speaking to my fellow Guyanese, to open your eyes. Make sure that when you go out there on the 1st of September, you vote consciously, you vote wisely. Do not be deceived. Ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you about the PPP track records. Then we had the Madia fire, claiming the lives of so many of our youths. Teachers, ladies and gentlemen, who contribute to this economy. As a matter of fact, it is public servants that contribute to keeping the economic engine of this economy going. And in order for them to get an increase, look at the struggle that they have to go through because of this administration, and they claim that they care. They claim that they care. Do you believe they care? Do you believe they care? No, it's a blatant no. And what is even sad, they're reaching those who is at the helm of the organization that's supposed to be keeping the government in check. I'm talking about some of the union representatives who's supposed to be fighting in our best interests. They're meeting them and making deals with them to the point that some of them can now come on stage and endorse them gladly. You see the hypocrisy of what's happening in this country? You see the hypocrisy? Ladies and gentlemen, I say to you that the only administration that has the best interests of all Guyanese, all the sundry at heart, is the APNU. Let me hear you say APNU. I want to hear you again, my people. 2025. 2025. Not so long ago, we had an incident that I know for sure. And the Guyana police force, and I say this because I want some of the police officers to understand. Some of you are innocent. Some of you do what is just and what is right, and you're committed to the oath that you took. But there's some officers in the Guyana police force who are very corrupt and vile. And instead of doing what is honorable and righteous, they're siding with the devils and slain our children. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you, on the 1st of September, when we attain government, we will ensure that an independent investigation be conducted into that matter. And those found culpable, they will be brought before the law. Enough is enough. Now let me, before I go, direct my attention to some of the things that we face in here in Region 2. I can say this because, as I told you, I hail from this community. For the past 30 plus years that I've been living in this land, this is the community that would have shaped me and molded me. But my upbringing wasn't anything easy. Because the PPP recognized that they need us, they're coming here and building roads and doing a few things here and there. But I tell you, when it comes to things that would empower the youths and make this community economically viable, the PPP has absolutely no interest in doing those things for us. I say this because I want you to understand this and understand this carefully. When it comes to the contracts and so on, the distribution of the contracts, we have young contractors here right in Dartmouth who have been tendering for contracts and they're not getting those contracts. But you have persons who are less qualified benefiting from those contracts, coming into my community, doing the work, and they're refusing to employ the people of this community to work on those projects. Do you think that's fair, my people? And it's not only happening in Dartmouth, it is happening in specific communities across this region. I am saying to you, my people, open your eyes, my brothers. Open your eyes, my sisters, my fellow youths. I want you to open your eyes. Do not be deceived. Let us take back our country. Understand that the power lies in you. So come on the 1st of September, when you go out there to vote, make sure you look for the palm and don't hesitate to cast your. Enough is enough. Palm it up, my people. Palm it up. Palm it up. In closing, my fellow brothers and sisters, the job that I do, I believe it's a noble job. Whenever I go to execute my duty, I do not look at race. I don't look at religion. I go there and I work according to whatever mandate is there. I believe that we have, as concerned citizens and those who care about the future of this country, whenever we're in a position to deliver, we make sure that we do so without fear or favor, and we do it to the best of our ability, because those are some guiding principles that we have built on. And I believe that that should be the way of every citizen of this country once they have a task to do. But what I recognize in this country here, the PPP, whenever it comes to them giving out things, they focus only on friends, families, and favorite. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that our patrimony belongs to all of us. Whenever you're given a grant, I want you to understand it's not a gift, it's an entitlement. I want you to understand this, that the money belongs to you, all of us. I want you to understand that. And in saying that, I want you to understand this, that the road that you're standing on does not belong to the government. The school that our children attend does not belong to the government. I am saying this for you to understand, my people, that whenever you see the government does a project, you have the right to scrutinize those projects. And if those projects are not done to your satisfaction, you have a right to hold the government accountable. They're not giving you handouts. It's their role and responsibility. So we have to change this notion of always having to praise the government for this and that. Yes, you give praise when it's true, but when it's not true, I want you to understand you have all right to criticize and condemn whoever is in charge. Ladies and gentlemen, before I go, I want to say to you, thank you for coming out to support the coalition, the APNU. It's a coalition. It's a party that is diverse. If you look at
Ready time to remove the cuss. Ladies and gentlemen, Guyana massive. The time done reach. We ready time to remove the cuss. Them copy with plans, but always spin round. Talk about progress, but the people still down. Say it's grand, but it's pure confusion. No structure, no plan, just illusion. We bring vision, they bring stress. Every time we rise, then settling for less.
Thank you. Thank you, Aldrin. Dartmouth Village, how are you doing? Dartmouth Village, how are you doing? Now, first of all, me travel all the way from Georgetown to get this cold shoulder from Dartmouth, especially as a person coming from Devonshire Castle. Dartmouth people, you ask for the road to be closed, the road closed. So you want me people to come forward. Come to me, my people. Come to me, my people. If you got your flags, let me see the flags in the air. Put up your flags. Wave your flags. Because I got a DJ backstage looking for the special song. And when the song come on, I want to see my Dartmouth people. Hear me tune. You got a representative all the way from the United States right here with you tonight. Make some noise for Anita Prince from Devonshire Castle. Hey! Where your flag? Where's the flag? Where's the flag? Put them up, put them up, put them up. All right. We go have a fine time all night tonight, all night tonight, all night tonight. We go have a fine time all night tonight, all night tomorrow night. Come down, wait, flag, wait, I know y'all got good waist, you know. Let me see the waist, them. Let me see the waist. I ain't seen the waist. Nation away, nation away, you're there. Nation away, your nation. Oh no, we got you correct tonight. Nation away, nation away, you're there. Nation away, your nation away, you're there. All are we are one generation. Nation, how are you there? All are we are one generation. Nation, how are you there? All are we are one generation. Nation, how are you there? All are we are one generation. Open the door. You open the door for Aubrey Norton. We open the door for Aubrey Norton. Family, open the door, let the man come in. All are we are one family. Open the door, let Aubrey come in. All are we are one family. Open the door, let Aubrey come in. All are we, everybody sing. One family, put your hands up. One family, Unity, one family.
Sing the thing.
One family.
Let me go again.
One family.
Sing the thing now.
One family.
Sing the thing.
One family.
Sing the thing now.
One family.
Open the door, let him on come in.
All of we are one family. Open the door, let Aubrey come in. All of we are one family. Open the door, let Aubrey come in.
All of we are one family.
Open the door, let Aubrey come in.
All of we.
One family.
Africa are coming. Africa are coming. Man, Africa.
All right, DJ, hold me tight. All right, so Dartmouth, we alive. We ready for September 1. You heard the speakers before. But comrades, listen, we got a serious message. For Guyana to go, I know from region 10 to region 6 to region 5, the people know this message, but me certain if region 2 know it. Let me repeat this question to you. For Guyana to go, and come September 1, what we doing? We palming them out. Comrades, the APNU is on a mission across the length and breadth of this country. When we talk about putting people first, that is exactly what an administration led by Aubrey, Compton, Norton will be doing. What is important to stress to you tonight, comrades, is that in these elections, there are only two political movements that could form the next government. And that is either the People's Progressive Party Civic, which is a waste of time, or a partnership for national unity. So for those of you talking about you want to experiment and you want to try a change, comrades, speak to your young people, because that so-called change that they're talking about could be nothing more than an exchange. You hear me? Because we have heard confession is good for the soul, they say. When the individual in blue said to you that him and his family been funding the PPP from 1992 all the way up to the 2020 elections, when Irfan Ali was foisted upon us, we saw Irfan Ali driving around in some heavy tinted vehicle belonging to the man in blue. So all of a sudden, the man in blue love you. But you know, in country people slang, they say you don't get inside woman and man's story. Because when the woman people, teeth and tongue is bite. People is fall out and there's fall back in. Be careful. And I stress to the elders, speak to the young people in the village because they are unaware of the immediate past transpired in this country. You witnessed just a few months ago, young Oren in his house, in his bed, with his wife asleep. And you saw the police was brave and brazen enough to kick down the door, shoot him in his bed while he lay there with his wife. And every time, if you observe that the PPP is in office, that is the trend. You saw, listen, I say to people that this elections should be one of the easiest elections for the APNU to win. Because every single day, without us saying a word, the evidence is being laid before you about corruption at every level of government. We've seen the international journalists did that interview with Vice President Bharat Jagdeo, and she showed how her investigation undercover for months exposed that in order to do business in Guyana, those people have to grease the palm of Bharat Jagdeo. You seen it? Just a few days ago, you saw one Junior Bash speaking about transactions that he did with the PPP and ministers of the government. He went as far and made an allegation that when you have to pay these bribes to Irfan Ali, you have to pay those bribes to his mother. You understand me? When you are in your struggle in this village or in this region, finding it hard to make ends meet, when you get your salary at the end of the month, the week, or the fortnight, before you even pay essential bills, the money is done. But these boys sit down and talking that somebody asks you to borrow some money, nothing much, just $40 million. You hear me, comrades? And that is why when we speak to our people and say to them that, listen, all of a sudden, the PPP knows that there is a village on the Essequibo coast named Dartmouth. All of a sudden, the PPP knows that there is a village named Queenstown. All of a sudden, the PPP suddenly know their communities in the Pomeroon River. All of a sudden, they're finding young men and they're giving them contracts. And what are those contracts for, comrades? To what? To clean drains. What is worse? What is worse, comrades, is when you believe that the PPP is giving them these contracts because they want them to develop as young contractors. They limit their growth, and it is very deliberate. Because when you give these youngsters a contract of $2.5 million or $5 million or $10 million, after they spend their monies to purchase equipment and materials and pay for labor, they barely got about a $1 million left back. So in order for them to start over again, the money's a little bit. The only thing that they can buy is 2 spades, a shovel, a wheelbarrow, and 2 black buckets. Meanwhile, the PPP friends, families, and favorites, when they allocate contracts to them, it is contracts of 80, 150, 250, or in the case of critics, $800 million. And what we stress it to the people in these communities, don't be carried away and believe that you have established yourself as a contractor with a contract of $2.5 or $5 million. Because at the end of the contract, you can't develop as a contractor. But meanwhile, the PPP's friends, family, and favorites, when they get the contracts for $80 million, $150 million, and $200 million respectively, when them boys contract done, them boys are purchasing mini excavator, a small bobcat, a double axle truck, because they are contractors. But the PPP knows exactly what they're doing to certain communities like these. It is not for any growth of your young people. It is to limit them and ensure that they stay at one level. Because as I said to you before, when they get them contracts to clean gutter or whatever, or make a little concrete strip road, the only profit they get left back, they can only purchase a wheelbarrow, 2 spades, a shovel, and some black buckets. And meanwhile, in other communities, the PPP youngsters getting sufficient money that them buy a jumbo jet and buy a mini excavator and a bobcat. You understand me? The other point that has to be stressed to your young people is when these young people get contracts, comrades, the PPP isn't doing you a favor. It is not to be considered a privilege to get a contract. It is your right. It is your right to get a contract. Once you are a born Guyanese, you have a right to get a contract. So PPP ain't doing you any favor. And what is more wicked about them is that they say to your young people in villages like these that we just give you a contract to clean the gutter. So here what you gotta do? We want you to put up these flags. We got a rally at Anna Regina. Get your young people to put them in red jerseys. They gotta go and stand up there. The 10-day workers in this region, the PPP has been doing the same thing to them. Stress to them that unless they are present at their rallies, they will not receive the 10-day workers' pay. You understand me? That is what is happening. We've seen on nominations day, for example, the PPP acolytes in those ministries and government agencies in this region, they took T-shirts, PPP T-shirts to the staff in there and said to them, they have to be present at the PPP meetings. And if they're not present, their work will be terminated at the ministry that they're working. That's not a government, comrades. That's not one Guyana. And that is why we keep saying to you, judge us based on our performance in office. When the APNU was in government in this region, we came into office in 2015, and you had the issue every single day of blackouts in the region. You remember that? Now one time blackout, 4-6 times per day, this region getting blackout like fairy light. It is the APNU that came into office and set up the generating system in this region that you had reliable electricity. Strange enough, the minute these boys comes back, all of a sudden you are getting blackout again. And what Jack Dale tell we can buy a power ship. And when you get that power ship, blackouts would be a thing of the past. Y'all remember that? Immediately after the power ship was put in place, blackouts continue just the same way. Jack Dale said it is the birds that are landing on the wires. Y'all remember that? And Jack Dale said that once they purchase a second power ship, blackout will be a thing of the past. Whole day yesterday and the day before in the capital city is blackout whole day. Where has your money gone? And mind you, these monies that they're spending, it is not money that is coming out of Jack Dale or you will see streets without lights. You will see communities without proper drainage and irrigation. And let me not talk about water. I just get water from the pipe. Comrades, in this, what they say is the fastest growing economy in the world, the average Guyanese can't get potable water from their taps. You can't, gone are the days when we wash white clothes from the pipe. You remember? You put your white clothes down, it come out red. You want to wash white clothes, you got to set buckets for days for let the water settle, and then you throw it over. But in Georgetown, it is even worse because the water is so stink that you can't even wash color clothes in it. But you think them boys care? They don't care. Because as I remind the comrades in Georgetown, little do you know is that every single one of those PPP ministers, at the end of every single month, you, the taxpayers, you pay them $1.8 million every month. Y'all know though. Plus, they are also members of parliament. As a result of that, every month you also pay them $280,000 every month. Plus, if you didn't know, you, the taxpayers, you also pay for their accommodation, you pay the rent. You pay their light bill. You pay their internet bill. You pay their phone bill. Did you know that? You pay for the fancy vehicles that they're driving in. You pay for the driver that is driving them. You pay for a maid in their house. You pay for their security. And you pay for a gardener. Y'all know though. So when them boys come to you and say to you, oh, we understand your struggle. You can't understand my struggle if you're not in the struggle. They don't know what you go through every day. Because I know in villages like these, in mornings when you're about to send your children to school, you have the task of studying whether or not you can take this $1,000 and buy a pound of sugar, a bag of tennis roll, an ounce of cheese or 2 ounces of butter to prepare your little ones with a little breakfast for them to take to school. Or you can give the child $1,000 because teacher got a project in school and they got to purchase cardboards and so forth. Ain't that the truth? At the end of the month, whether you're a policeman, a nurse, a doctor, or a teacher, and you are married, or you're living with your child father or children mother, at the end of the week or the month when you get your salary, the two of you got more debates than the National Assembly. And the debate is, honey, should we pay mortgage now? Or should we pay rent? Should we use this money and pay a GPL, or we gotta pay for the Wi-Fi? You gotta get a $1,000 credit, one top up, or should we take this money and carry that child to the doctor because we notice he teeth little twists? You understand me? You understand what I'm saying, comrades? And that is why when we say to people, especially our youngsters in these communities, and we implore upon you to speak to your youngsters, because elections are serious business. And on September 1, the Almighty, whoever you presume him or her to be, gives you one opportunity. And that is when you go and vote, you are not voting for Aubrey Norton. You are not voting for Christopher Jones. You are not voting for Dennis Jaikaran. You are not voting for Shawn Holder. Comrades, believe me, you are voting for yourself, your children, your future, and the community that you live in. That is what you're voting for. So when we come to meetings like these, we understand the difficulties that many residents and people in this community have. They can't come out to an APNU meeting or rally. Why? Victimization. Because the minute somebody from the RDC office see the little girl who's work as a clerk at an APNU rally or meeting, when she go to work on Monday, comrade, answer me if I'm telling you the truth. When they go to work on Monday, we see you at a meeting. Supervisor say that you ain't gonna come back to work no more. Ain't that the truth? The young men who get in the contract, they threaten them that if we see you anywhere around the APNU, it's termination of your contract. And that is happening across this country. But comrades, here is what we want you to do. Whisper to them when you see your youngsters in red t-shirt and they're putting up flag. We've been speaking with them and they've been speaking with us. They say, listen, one of them said to me, Chris, listen, we know what's going on. When I talked to the police officer yesterday at Breeding Hoop, he must say, boss man, we know what's going on. on the 22nd of August, when we go in and vote, boss, we looking for APNU. Don't worry with your seeing weird red jersey. And that's why in this region, we don't want you to cuss them out. Because we're cussing out your very people who supporting the same movement like you. Whisper to them. As I said to some women the other day, you have to be part of this campaign. When you go in the Chinese supermarket to purchase and you see your friend till down at the back of the supermarket, if the friend named Anita, you must stay from the front of the supermarket and shout, Anita, I hope you voted APNU. The whole supermarket hear you. When you're in the church, when the pastor's preaching, you must shout as well too, God is good and APNU is good too. Hallelujah. When you're in the minibus or you're coming out the taxi, you know the taxi's got 6 and 7 people inside. If you coming out of Dartmouth, you say, look, driver, look the money, thank you very much. Yeah, vote APNU. Whisper campaign, simple like that. Simple like that. So, comrades, my message is very simple to you. September 1 presents that opportunity for us to right the wrongs that is happening in this country. Last but certainly not least, when the APNU was in office, today some of you even cuss us about it, is that we allowed every person to remain in their jobs. Y'all remember that? To the extent it worked counter to us because they were sabotaging the APNU government. One key person I want to mention to you, in the office of the president, President David Granger, one of his public relations officer was allowed to work with him for 5 years straight. You know who is that young public relations officer? She happens to be the wife of the current Attorney General, Anil Nandalal. Now that is a demonstration to you what the APNU is about. It's about providing opportunity for every single Guyanese, irrespective of race, irrespective of your political persuasion, irrespective of where you live. That is the government that you are going on September 1 to elect in office. That is my message to you, comrades, tonight. That is my message to you tonight, comrades. So APNU all the way. Dartmouth Region 2, show me your palm. September 1, we are palming them out. Make some noise as I welcome the next speaker, a young man from your region. Make some noise as we welcome Reyes Rutmerai.
When I'm feeling under the
And we're going to bring first Mr. Gavin Gunga. Make some noise for Gavin.
Good night. Good night. For those who may not know me, Gavin Gunga from right down the road, Better Hope. Better Hope. I spent time right here in Dartmouth on many Saturday nights back then. But let me remind you tonight, for Ghana to grow, the PPP must. One more time, the people in Better Hope haven't heard us yet. For Guyana to grow, PPP must go. Thank you. Let me remind you, it was said before here tonight, but let me remind you because we need to get the message home and get it home with a strong message. The suffering of our farmers, especially in this part, our rice farmers. Never in the history, growing up here on the Essequibo coast, have I ever heard of paddy being dumped. Despite the grade of paddy, we always get it sold to GRB and to wherever else there were millers here on the Essequibo Coast. Today, the recent rice crop was dumped. I know of farmers. I'm traveling in some of those farmers who are working hire cars on this road. If not for the hire car, them and their family would have starved here on the Essequibo Coast if they had to depend on rice farming alone. All because not only the rice was dumped, but we were given here varieties of rice, in my estimation, wasn't properly tested in the fields before they were sent out to the farmers. I drive from Charity to Supanam, and I can see even before the rice start to bear, as we will say in common terms here in Essequibo, the rice is falling down. So imagine when it start to bear, what happened? The harvester, or as we will call it here again, the combine cannot pick it up. That's wastage. That's money lost. Farmers are investing hard-earned money here in this region, and they're not getting returns. They're not even getting returns to go back in the fields. They're suffering. The drainage and irrigation system, let me remind you, whenever it rains, if its sluice is not working, the drains are clogged, the drainage trenches are clogged with weeds, overgrown. The farmers suffer because they cannot drain their fields so their crop can be harvested. Let me remind you, reasons why, come the 1st of September, why you must vote for the APNU is because of all these loss, all this suffering, all this discrimination against us because we don't wear red, not even for a show. Farmers are complaining. Dams, recently, just last week, he's not a resident of Region 2, but he now farming in Golden Fleece area. Some of you may know him. He's a popular guy on TikTok. Planting other crops. He brought a vehicle from George to move his produce out of the back dam and bring it out to the main road. And he complained to me saying the dams that he has to traverse and bring out his produce is bad. Guess what? For him, he had to go and buy what we call an ATV, or better known as the all-terrain vehicle, another investment, in my estimation, a wasted investment just to get his produce to the market. We cannot afford to keep a government in office for another 5 years to have us suffering, have us making unnecessary investment. Those monies can be better spent on other needs that we have in our household. Residents of Region 2, as we go around, even here in this region, I don't want to talk about other regions where I've traveled and see the same thing, of poor quality infrastructure. We are building roads with whose money? Whose money are we building these roads with? Taxpayers' money. And we are building it this year, and next year we got to build it all over again because we are giving contracts to our friends, our family, and our favorites. We cannot allow our country cannot be developed. Our people, our human resources cannot be developed if we're going to spend money on one thing over and over. Doesn't make sense in my book. We need to think and to remember when we go to the poll on the 1st of September, we have to vote for. Make sure that X, when you put it in that box, it don't touch the lines of that box. Because we have people We have people who are working and they will call it a spoil vote. Please do not get excited. Take your time. Take your time and make that X. Many of us, when we were learning to write, the teacher held our hands and helped us form letters. One of the simplest letters to form in the English alphabet is the X. Please make sure you make that X hole in that box without touching the borders of that box. For Guyana to grow, for Guyana to grow, I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Make another round of applause for Mr. Gunga. Very astute individual when it comes to agriculture. Now, you want the musical interlude? Yeah, sure, you got the energy. But me seeing it from y'all, you want me making a test case. DJ, let me get my tune.
You just make me sweet. Ice the cocoa tea, use the sugar. And together we are complete, darling. Heat me up. Only you want to
That's all I see from y'all. All I see is this.
and me telling me
This was region 2. Let me see the wave. And the flags. Yes, yes.
I could never.
Where's Andre Mars?
So she
Let me see your hand. Put the palms up. That's right. You see? Mommy got it right idea. Put on the waist. Let me see the waist. Hey.
Temperature. Make the thing get your fire. It's all on the ground, all over the counter. With that pot on the fire. It's a crocodile. I barely could concentrate.
Right.
I feel like
I'll stop you right here. We'll save it for the last. We'll save it for the last. Thank you, DJ.
We're not gonna love her.
Thank you, DJ. Thank you.
Only you alone.
Now, this young man is one of your very own. No stranger to politics, a teacher by profession. Make some noise as we welcome this youngster. In Georgetown, he's known as Carol Joseph, his son-in-law. Make some noise for Reyes Rootnine.
Patrice again, yeah. And again and again. I want you to do it with your time. I'm hoping on Western time. I want you to do it with your time. I'm not thinking right now, but better days are coming. Change your ways. For this moment, possible.
APNU,
Better days are coming.
APNU,
For this moment,
APNU.
hey, what we gonna do now? There's no panorama. Hey, we got your
I hear you. APNU. For Guyana to grow. And we know what we have to do. Good evening, Region 2. No. Region 2, like they're gone. Good evening, Region 2. Is it Pomeruna looking for? Pomeruna, are you here? You know we don't take left. You know the first thing they were doing as soon as we were setting up, I saw they passing with their vehicles, and you know they're gonna take their pictures with a couple persons standing there and standing here and saying that we don't have the turnout. But let us tell them, fancy get up, don't win race. It's September 1. When you go in the voting compartment by yourself and you look for the palm And comrades and those listening in your homes, the palm is at the top of the ballot paper. So you put your X next to the palm because long time done and short time left. And there is only one party to take you to the future. That is the APNU. My comrades, do not be focused with the new parties who are now coming on board. We learned this in the countryside. We have heard bigger folk a crow and all them get curry powder. Because when you look at the 2020 election, all the same little party who wants the PP is surprisingly on their list. So we know where all of them, their loyalty goes. So vote for the small parties, a vote for persecution, oppression, victimization. And who knows that more than region 2? Because when you travel this region and you travel the Pomeroon, you know which regions are heavily supported by the government because only they get things. The rest of us, we are one-sided Guyana, while some of them are living the good life of one Guyana. Because the PP only like two sets of people, those who bow and those who beg. But APNU is a strong set of people. And we can be decent like Damon was in 1834 when he took a peaceful protest. Or we can show them the true colors of Guyanese when Boston was shot in Dartmouth. Guyana is one. Is one. And for Guyana to grow, you know, I was thinking about which song to come out with just now. And I remember in 2020 we were campaigning with Farmer Nappy. When he said, what? Pack up the PP in a garbage bag. But I couldn't do that tonight. You know why? Because there's an insult to garbage bag. Because the PP has become worse than garbage. They sit down and talk about education and how it has been equally distributed and all sorts of things. But yet they don't take into consideration when you have 3 children from one home down the river coming to Anna Regina Secondary and they have to pay 2,000 boat fare return. Now a man has to pick 3 children and 6,000 to reach a charity. The man turned and told me yesterday when I went down the river, he said, Riaz, someday there's got to determine which one of them to send. Because I can't send all 3. And yet we are living in a good Guyana. And yet when these children excel at the exam, we take credit for it. But we only see the success, but we don't understand the struggle. They now tell you that they're going to give you free education at the University of Guyana. My comrades, do not let anybody fool you. You put makeup on a pig is still a pig. It was under the PNC, under the founder leader of the PNC, Forbes Barnum, where education was free from nursery to university. It was when the PP took power in 1992 that they brought on fees at university in 1994. So they feel like they're giving you a gift. All you're doing is returning what was ours. The PP just behave as though they're like the ATM machine. So when they give you your own money, you must say thanks. They're not easy. But as we said, long time done, short time left. Where are we going? APNU. Now, when you look at the way that they treat our farmers, when HIMAC is given up the river and down the river to dig dams, if Petty was a person, if Petty was a party, it would have been the PP. They will send the HIMAC to dig around a PP supporter, and as soon as it reaches an assumed APNU supporter, that HIMAC is removed and carried to the next neighbor. Imagine you spending more money to show your one-sidedness. But the PEP is good at making two things, promises and potholes, and they can't fill either one of them. It is disheartening to see today when I had to travel up the river, and when they are talking about how they're treating their own region, and to see how our young people, our differently able person, and worst of all, our pensioners are treated. It is as though they magically appeared onto this planet. Now there's got some, I just call it Dory syndrome. You ever seen the movie Finding Dory? By the time she turn around, she forget the story. They only seem to think that they took power in 2020. They forget that they were in government since 1992. They forget, and when they compare, they like to talk about what Burnham did. But they don't talk about what Jack Dio did for 11 years. I think that Scully David is asleep. Now they're saying that when we were in 2020, you can't eat roads. And now look how funny it come, the same thing is saying. But the one good thing about the APNU is that when we built the road, it actually lasts. So we had the quality over the quantity. For years, our farmers are begging for a gun license and fulfilling all criteria. And yet they can't receive any to look after their farm. But persons who require gun license to shoot mosquito gets it instantly. And worst of all, when you go to Georgetown and you look at the price, you see when Kes sing about cocoa tea, I said at the campaign launch, Kes got brave, he brave bad, because here in Guyana we can't even buy cocoa tea. Because when we go to Charity or the Regina market, we have to decide whether to buy the plantain or the oil, whether to buy the pepper or the pot, because we can't get the pepper pot. Now you telling me that in this, when you check a Charity yesterday, when the farmers brought out their plantain, it's being sold $20 and $40 a pound. And when you go to Georgetown, it's like it went through immigration. It got about $300 a pound. And the person who did the most work for it did not receive the reward. It is a shame of how our people are being treated. My comrades, but as I said, long time done, short time left. For Guyana to grow, the PPP must go. So on September 1, we put the X next to the palm. And to my young people, just remember this. You can't say that no matter what you do, it's still the same. Every great step, every we shall surely reach again to celebrate on September 2.
Thank you. Thank you. Make some noise for your very own. So we want to move swiftly with the program. We got a culture item, but we'll come to that in a little bit. Let me introduce to you another one of your very own. Young man, identified by the presidential candidate of the APNU, who can country. Region 2, make some noise as we welcome the chairman of the People's National Congress Reform and candidate of the APNU, Mr. Shawn Holder.
Guyana massive. The time done reach. We ready. Time to remove the curse. Them copy with
That was Somalians. Make some noise.
Talk about progress.
We have
the place still down. Say it's grand, but it's pure confusion. No structure, no plan, just illusion. We bring vision, they bring stress. Every time we rise, then settling for less. School, road, water, clinic, and nurse. When you know who come, everything gets worse. We ready, time to remove the curse. We ready, time to put people first.
Good night, Dartmouth. I can't hear you. Good night, my APNU family. All right. I heard somebody, there were a set of people that came from Akawini. We got Akawini in the house here still? All right. We got anybody from the river? All right. Dartmouth, let me say this to you. We have just about 15 days. 15 days to make a decision in this country. 15 days to bring a change. Yes, that's right. 15 days to make that change that we all need. Do you want change? Man, your song ain't cold. Do you want change? Who you voting for? I can't hear you. Put the palms up. Put the palms up. All right. We got just about 15 days remaining, as one of the colleagues said, long time done, short time come. And we got just about 15 days to bring about the kind of change that we want to see in our country. It is 15 days to stop corruption. It is 15 days to stop all the thieving. It is 15 days to stop their incompetence. So if you want that change, my friends, you gotta ensure that you put your X next to the palm. Now, we have a government that has run this country for the last 5 years, that has done practically nothing for region number 2. Absolutely nothing for region number 2. They promised you jobs. They failed to deliver. I recall Bharat Jagdeo making that promise back in 2020 to the people of Region 2. And they came after 5 years of failing us. They returned to Anne Regina rally just a week ago, and they promised jobs once again. The only jobs that came to this region is the 10-day work. And we know that those are not real jobs. We know that those jobs cannot sustain ourselves and our families. And so I'm saying to you, my friend, for example, and you go down to the river dam, there is a pump station project there that they boasted betterment for the people in this region and the people of Charity. And I know there are some folks from Charity here. They would have spent $540 million on a pump station there. You understand, Dartmouth? We have got to put these people out. They are now coming to us to boast about their new hospital. the existing system. Dartmouth, we have got to vote these people out. The APNU stands. We understand how to run a government. We understand the development that you crave for in this region. And so we've got to ensure that when we go there on September 1st, we put our X in the right place. My friends, I'm happy to see so many of you out here tonight. You know, we got to talk about the failings of the PPP. For 5 years, they have managed, or I should say mismanaged, an oil economy. One that they claim is the fastest growing economy in the world. But are you feeling as though you are living in the fastest growing economy in the world? Are you feeling that you're living in the fastest growing economy? My friends, that is more reason for us to ensure that we put these jagabats out of government. They have mismanaged the economy. They have caused all the food prices to skyrocket. But then they try to tell us that we're only getting inflation of 2% and 3%. What they do, let me explain to you what they do. They lump all the items that you don't usually buy. Maybe you buy it every 6 months or 8 months. And they put all of that together. And then they do their jiggery-pogery. And they come up to tell you that it's only 2% the price has gone up. But then we know what we are facing on the ground here in Region 2. We know that the price for rice, for example, a little bag of rice under the APNU coalition was just about $1,300 a couple of years ago. But now, under the PPP, those prices would have doubled. You got to pay, that's right, you got to pay about $28 for a bag of rice. Every single essential item has gone up. Now, when you go to the market, when we were in government, you could have gone with a $5,000 and come home with your basket full or your bag with something reasonable. But in these times, you got to walk with 50. I'm not talking about meat and other things. Because when you get into that, you're going to put plenty more there. And so, my friends, I am saying to you tonight that they have mismanaged the economy and they have put thousands of people, poor people, on the breadline. And the only way we can reverse that trend is for a party who understands economics, who understands how to manage a country. We have a proud track record of managing this country in a proper way. You know, when we were in government, they were telling people that things tight, money ain't flowing, because we cut off some of the illegal business. So they get their minions to go out there and say things tight. But if things tight then, I don't know what you will say is happening now, 5 years later, under the People's Progressive Party. We have got to change this country. Dartmouth, I want you to listen to me. I want you to give me a hearing.
The People's Progressive Party is a party that does not care about the ordinary people. They are focused only on their friends, families, and their favorites. They had a candidate at their rally, and I said I had to speak about it. They had a young girl from in the Pomeroon. You know, when I listened to that, I was home watching my television. You know, I don't have time with the PPP, but I said, let flick for here what nonsense they're talking. And when I flicked the channel, I saw this little girl talking this nonsense. And, I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful in any way. I always believe that women, you have to treat them respectfully. That is how we treat our women in the APNU. But I must speak truth. She had to be greatly misinformed, or she didn't know what she's talking about. I look at it and I said, you know, young lady, your own parents wouldn't believe what you're saying. Because our good friends in the Pomeroon, they are punishing, they are struggling. I had a meeting in the Pomeroon, a well-attended, by the way, meeting in the Pomeroon just the other day. And I spoke with the farmers there. And I clearly recall a farmer complaining to me. He said that he produces 5,000 coconuts, water coconuts, every month. But the government, or the market rather, can only take off about 1,500. So the other nuts gotta be left to get dry, and you try to sell them as oil coconut, but oil coconut is different from water coconut. Everybody would understand that. But I recall that there was a plan to have some investors come in to establish a factory. And you know what happened? The People's Progressive Party and their friends, their good friends, they're a party of friends, family, and favorites. Their good friend, Mr. Alfonso, has a coconut mill. And so it is my belief that they do not want the competition with another factory here in Region 2. They don't care that the factory will provide 500 jobs. They don't care that the factory would have taken off the coconuts from in the Pomeroon so that the economy could be lifted there and the people could live a comfortable life. So they ensured that they frustrated the investors out of the region. That is the kind of government that we have today in this country. My friends, we have got to get rid of this punish poor people and corrupt party. I heard my leader saying some other acronym, but for me, this is the party that punishes the poor and rewards the rich. And we have a lot of evidence of that across the country. For 5 years, we would have seen big contracts right here in this region being doled out to onions, family, and favorites. Tonight, we are committing to you, Dartmouth. We are committing to you, the people of the Pomeroon. We are committing to you, the people of Region 2, that we are going to end that friend, family, and favorite policy on September 2nd when we take government. We have a party that will not be corrupt. In fact, if you look at our list of candidates from top to bottom, you will understand the caliber of people that we have to run this country. And I want to say to you that I personally endorse Mr. Aubrey Compton Norton to be the next president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Single iota of evidence or even a little loose talk about corruption against Aubrey Compton Norton. They can't bring any corruption talk against Director Finance. They can't bring any kind of talk, contrary talk, about any of the other candidates that are on our list. But when you examine what they have on their list, when you go number one, and I want you, the whole world is listening, and you guys that are here, just go and Google it. Number one on the PPP list is a convict. Number two, something else, which I don't say here. But convicts, women beaters, murderers, that's right. And so I'm saying to you, Dartmouth, when you vote, when you put your X next to their palm, it is a vote against these ills that we don't want to see anymore in our country. Imagine you can have somebody being accused of rape when you are a minister, and you put a person off for a few mornings, and then you take him back. You put him back permanently on your list. Imagine you can have a person in REO that takes out his gun and shoots a young lady, and then you can have him on the job still. That wouldn't happen under an APNU government. It never did, and it will never happen in the future. My friends, I want to say this to you. We have to get rid of this People's Progressive Party. It will be remiss of me if I don't mention an issue that was raised with me when I was in charity just a few days ago. At the charity meeting, you had two Indo-Guyanese come to me to that meeting. And they sat there throughout, and they came to me just after. And they complained bitterly. And I'm sharing this experience because Dartmouth, I know you have that experience, and all across this region, you have that kind of experience. They said to me that they were leasing some lands since 1985, and they paid all their dues consistently up to 2025 or 2024. But lo and behold, when they go to pay this year, they were told that they can no longer occupy that land, and that a good friend of the government now has possession, the same fellow with the oil mill, now has possession of that land, and he intends to build some kind of airstrip on it. Well, I said to them that we have just about 3 weeks remaining, and I gave them that commitment that under the APNU, we intend to constitute a restitution commission, and that commission will deal with all the wrongs that the PPP government would have done to the people of this country. Whether they take away your land, they knock you off, whatever is it, we are going to deal with it. And that is a commitment that we are making here today. My friends, as I close, I want to say this to you. Dartmouth and region number 2, running a country is serious business. Governing a country is serious business. It calls for vision. It calls for a plan. It calls for a structure. You must have the kind of structure to run the country. The APNU is the only party that has what it takes to defeat the People's Progressive Party. The APNU is the only party that has the kind of structure in place and the caliber of people that can run this country in a proper way. I want to say to some of us that are meddling a little, he sat with us, dined with us up until the hour before that vote. And when he went to make that, when that vote was called, he voted with the same people that he was cursing all along. So I want to remind us, that is a lesson in history that we have to digest it. We have to understand the kind of games that are being played out there. I'm saying to you, you cannot worry about who is yellow and who is blue and who is whatever party. We are the only party that can take on the PPP and defeat them. We are the only party that will put you first. We are the only party that has the plan to develop this country and develop it in a way that the poorer class of people can live a comfortable life. And so I urge us that on September 1st, sure that we get up early, we say our prayers, we do whatever we have to do, and we go out and we ensure that we put our X next to the palm. Where are we putting our X? Where are we putting our X? Esikwabo, Region 2, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Holder. Make some noise for your own. So, comrades, tonight, as you know, just yesterday, the APNU launched its manifesto. And in that document, it speaks a lot about the development of the creative arts. So, of course, a part of our program tonight, we will be featuring some of your very own talent. So make some noise as we welcome on stage Shem's Delight Dance Crew.
छलकाई मधुशाला मेरा चैन रैन नैन अपने साथ ले गया नैनों वाले थे नैनों वाले थे नैनों वाले ने छेड़ा मन का प्याला छलकाई मधुशाला मेरा चैन रैन नैन अपने साथ ले गया पग पग डोलो रे हो पग पग डोलो रे डगमग सी मैं चलती हूँ जगमग लो सी जलती तेरे नैनों की कैसी मदिरा थर थर कांपूं रे तेरे तीर से छिपती चंदन की पग सी लिपटी मैं बेहोश तू नशा ऐसी मोह की दशा मेरा चैन रैन नैन अपने साथ ले गया नैनों वाले ने नैनों वाले ने छेड़ा मन का प्याला छलकाई मधुशाला मेरा चैन रैन नैन अपने साथ ले गया
Thank you. Make some noise for Shem's dance group. Comrades, we are at that point of the program. If you're at the back, be up front. If you're to the side, come to center. And let your numbers demonstrate your commitment to putting Guyana first. Your commitment for the development of this country. Region 2, make some noise as I welcome to you the man who will be the next president of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Make some noise for Aubrey Compton Norton!
Good evening. Good evening. It's a pleasure to I was saying it was a pleasure to be here, but he thought he should disturb. I'll start over. Good evening, Dartmouth. Good evening, Pomeroon. Good evening, the entire Region 2. It's always a pleasure to be here. We are having this meeting at a time when there are a number of problems that are facing Guyana. One of the key problems we have is the high cost of living. We have made a number of proposals to deal with the high cost of living. We believe, first and foremost, that to increase our production of food so that there can be more food in the market and cause a reduction in price. We therefore said that we will ensure that there is sustainable agriculture in every region. Since if every region is producing its own food, then we'd be in a better position. The government you're dealing with is not a government that has the interests of the people at heart. Their focus on infrastructure is not because they want to give hospitals. It's not because they want the education system improved. It is because infrastructure offers them the best opportunity to make money through corruption. And so we have got to analyze the Guyana situation and move forward. The government clearly believes that if they keep people in poverty, those people will be dependent on them, and then they can come and give handouts, and then they can control you. We have a different approach. We believe if people benefit, if people are getting a living wage, if people are getting good working conditions, if they have good health services, then people will feel much better and support you. Unlike the government, which believes in dependency, we believe that we need to create sustainable villages. Every village should have businesses that allow them to generate wealth. Every village should become a sustainable village. And we say to you, we will put the infrastructure in place to ensure that every village is productive. We have argued, and you will read this in our manifesto, we have argued that no longer can Guyana be separated in the way it is. And so we are saying to you, we will focus on building roads and bridges to link the 10 regions of Guyana. Imagine being able to drive from Georgetown to Charity without the boat. And so there are a number of things will happen when we do the interregional highway. The first thing is that new lands will be open, which would mean you have more lands to utilize, which would mean more lands for housing, more lands for farming. And so it is our intention to link these 10 regions in a way that allows us to have more lands for the people of Guyana. We believe that one of the critical problems in Guyana is housing. And we have made it very clear that critical to our program is our rent-to-own housing program. Whereas a government, we will build houses, we will have people pay rent for the houses, but when the rent covers the cost of the house will become their property. Like I said yesterday when we were launching our manifesto, our aim is to get rid of poverty. The big issue in this country is poverty. And therefore, our programs are aimed at putting wealth in the hands of our people so they can free themselves from poverty. The government asks how we can do it, where we can get the money from. Well, we have already said, your corruption money, your waste money can give us all the things we want. It is well known that last year, or this year rather, we have a budget of 1.47 trillion. And then they came back for more money. And if you accept that 40% of that money goes to corruption and waste, it would mean that there are billions of dollars available to invest in people. The money that this government wastes, the money that this government officials obtain because of corruption, can pay the salary increases we are recommending. We are recommending a minimum wage of 200,000 Guyana dollars. We're recommending a 35% increase in salaries. Now, if this government had cared, they could have allocated those money and avoid the high levels of corruption. But the nature of this government, the C in PPPC is corruption. There is no group of people in the history of this country that is thief like the PPP. I think one of Ali's degrees from the fake university must be a degree in corruption. Specialized. And so we are saying to you, don't worry with the nonsense they're saying that you cannot find money to finance the program. The savings from waste, the savings from corruption can finance any program that we are talking about. We're saying to you, we're going to reduce your cost of living by giving you $10,000 subsidy on electricity. We're saying to you, we're going to give you a $5,000 subsidy on water. The reason why the present government is saying that that can't happen is because they know full well that once it happens under us, they wouldn't see government in a hurry. And so we have got to understand that every proposal we make, they will criticize. Let me remind you, we were the first to suggest that Guyanese can get a cash grant. The PPP said then they don't have money. Norton and the APNU want to eat out all of the money. When they recognize they are losing and they need support, they went and did the same cash grant. And so you know they are hypocrites. You know they are copycats. They said that free university was too costly. I reminded them that Forbes Burnham gave us free university education without oil money. Without oil money. I reminded them that when they came to power in 1992, the University of Guyana was free. It is this corrupt and incompetent government in 1994 made Guyanese had to pay for university. So don't come now like you're offering something. You are returning something that existed. You are rectifying a wrong you did to the youth of this country. You are not doing anything spectacular. And mind you, there is a reason why they didn't want free university. They believe only the rich and those close to the leadership of the PPP must get quality education. And they recognize that if you continue to produce the quality of persons the university was producing, then they themselves would be in. Because but the point is, we will focus significantly on education. We believe education is one of the pathways to a poor man's way out of poverty. You might not have money. You might not be wealthy. But if a government creates the condition for you to get education, then you can get out of poverty. And that is what they're afraid of. We said to you, our programs are going to take you out of poverty. Guyana has a lot of resources. The issue here is not resources. You know what a budget does? What a budget does is look at the resources in the country and decide who will get what, when, and how. It allocates resources. So one of the first tasks we have to undertake is to pass a supplementary budget as early as possible in government so that we can now reallocate the resources to human development. The most important element or thing in any society is the human being. You could have the best concrete structures. You could have the best roads. if you do not develop quality people, you're in trouble. And so we're saying to you, when you see our manifesto, there will be a significant element in terms of education and training. We believe the People's Progressive Party has failed the people of God. With math and English, it means 10 to 11,000 children every year are not obtaining the required qualifications to move on. That is a recipe for poverty. That is a recipe for crime. That is a recipe for trouble. And so we said to you, we will go to the bottom of the education system and begin to change it. Right here in Dartmouth, while I was presidential advisor, we put an early childhood education center. Our intention was then, and it continues to be now, that we will build a network of early childhood education centers across the country so we can begin to train our children from the smallest level up. Our society has changed. We have to ensure that our children get the requisite training. And once they come out of the early childhood center, into nursery, into the primary, we set ourselves the objective of ensuring that by the time a child meets grade 4, that child must know to read, write, count, reason, and comprehend. Not that nonsense that Manik Chan is going on with. I think she named Mimic Chan. She mimics all kinds of stupidness. We have got to ensure that our children can do those 5 things, so that by the time a child would have completed primary school, they are literate and numerate. The People's Progressive Party plunders, pillage our children that they failed. They failed our children. They had Bash come telling us, but no child left behind, and all the children end up getting left behind. We cannot afford that. The next thing we have to do is to bring down the size of the classes. Definitely, teachers are teaching too many children at a time. And this is not the era where you had a wild cane. This is an era in which you have to have new approaches. It's for that reason we say we will place sociologists, psychologists, social workers in the school system and in the police system. Because a lot of our children have social problems, and we need people with the requisite skills to ensure we save them from becoming in conflict with the law. The PPP doesn't It is the only country I know that you put up CCTV cameras to deal with crime. And once a PPP person commits the crime, the camera don't work.
But a little bypass and do something, the camera work and they're ready to lock him up. They must understand that we understand what they are up to. They are destroying our society, and we won't allow it. We are going to make the changes in the education system to ensure that our children succeed. The most critical thing for us is the success of our children. And then we have health facilities. I pass a brand new hospital. Brand new hospital. My information is it didn't got a doctor. It hardly got a nurse. It hardly got useful equipment. And most of all, it ain't got drugs. Then it's not a hospital. It's a hopeless place. A hospital is not a building. A hospital is an institution that provides medical services. And if you cannot get the services, it's just a building. But they have to build the buildings because that is what allows them to make money on the people of Guyana. I want you to recognize that one of the greatest crimes in this country is corruption. A man gets arrested for a traffic offense. It's the court. A man gets arrested for beating up another man. The police come and they carry you to court or take a bribe, whichever one suits them. But then you have the white-collar criminals calling themselves ministers, and they're plundering the economy, and the police can't come because the leadership of the police is also involved. The leadership of the police know to run into these villages and go after young people, but they didn't know it had a senior officer involved in drugs in the Northwest. Force that can solve crime. They like to say we did nothing when we were in government. Tell them we solved most of the crimes they left behind. And we solved them because we train people to solve them. But they can't train people to solve crime. Which criminal will train people to take themselves down? This is a criminal cabal that cannot afford a functioning police force. This is a criminal cabal that has to control the police force because greatest committers of crime. And so, let us understand, a vote for the People's Progressive Party is a vote for the continuation of the police being useless. A vote for the People's Progressive Party is a vote to protect their criminals and put your ordinary family in prison. Do you want that? What you want is an APNU government that will ensure the Guyana Police Force performs its function and performs them properly. Policing is not men in uniform. Policing is the process of developing intelligence, etc., to be able to preempt, stop crime, and where crimes would have occurred, bring people to justice. And to the extent that this police force isn't doing that, it's not serving its function. Mind you, I'm not here talking about all policemen. I'm talking about the Jagabats at the top. And let me tell you why I say this. You will recall between 2015 and 2020, policemen were doing their jobs properly. And then come back the PPP. And from the time they returned, the police went rogue again. If the top is corrupt, it will feed down to the bottom. And so we know out of necessity that if we are to succeed, we have to change the leadership of the Guyana Police Force. They like to say that the APNU did nothing. Let me remind them that the only time in the history of this country that public servants got 77% increases in wages and salaries, it is under the APNU. In our manifesto, we have made it clear that we are going to train more quality public servants, not PPP anybody, and because as a family or a friend, you put them there and they can't do the work. We want to train public servants because you could be a government with good policies, good programs, but if you do not have a public service to implement them, you are in deep trouble. And so we are going to develop the public service. We have made it very clear that we will ensure more people in the public service can get duty-free concessions. Why should foreign companies be getting all the concession and our public servants, our teachers, our policemen, our soldiers cannot get it? We will ensure they do. We believe that there are enough in this country to deliver on our program. Let me remind people, between 2015 and 2020, we gave to the Guyanese people quality water. We gave them it 24/7, and then come the Jagabats again, and Marby start flowing through. We pipe. They are so crude. They are so crude. They are so cruel that they refuse to invest in giving us quality water. Why would you want a government that sends water through your pipe that you cannot use? The time is nigh. PPP must go. I remind them that we took a dead GPL in 2015. And by the time we left government in 2020, GPL had become financially viable and reliable. There were hardly any blackouts. These corrupt jokers inherited that from us. They changed the management and put an incompoop, followed by a lal, Nandlal. And they have shown no ability to govern properly. We have shown them that we can make GPL viable, remove it from being a burden on the people of Guyana. And we said to you in government, we will return GPL to a better place than it is now. You are living in a society in which they spend billions to bring a ship. We power floating in now. It coming by ship. And we paying a set of money for the ship. And all we getting is probably a change from SHIP you could put in the last letter. Don't want them accuse me of using language that is not acceptable. But if you put in the last letter, you're going to know that's what they're giving us. And you don't got to worry, some of them can't spell, so they're going to know as well. But so, I'm saying to you, we have a competent team that can govern this country. The bald-head rat likes to get up and say how I don't have experience, Jaretta Finance doesn't have experience. Well, we want he experience because his experience is failure. Nothing has succeeded under him. He built a Skeldon sugar factory that doesn't produce sugar. It was supposed to generate energy. It generates nothing. He gave us a party is incompetent. You know, these people are so ridiculous. I don't know if you all remember when Venezuela had them hot. When Venezuela, they put in a little fire at the rear. They came out and told soldiers, all who go to the border will get house plots until now. Once Venezuela ease, they ease. Ask your soldier family, all of whom were promised house lots, how many of them got house lots? This government is a government of promise to get back into power. And do not be fooled by their promises. Always remember, before every election, they come with promises. But remember also that after they are in government, citizens, the police do as they like. The supporters do as they like. Right now, they got supporters who believe they are the Ghana police force. But you know, you are just another citizen. And so, we will confront their bad behavior. And I have already warned them. And I want Dartmouth to hear this. Just after they came to power the last time, they killed our in Boston. They killed the Henry boys. They killed Harris Singh. They killed Adriana Young. They killed Peters in Linden. The thing must point out is that every time this government is in power, young people are murdered. And so you have to remember when they're promising you that if they get a chance after September 1st, you are in trouble. To give them a vote is to put yourself in trouble. So we are voting to change the People's Progressive Party because we need a better life. And I can say to you, we have outlined in our manifesto a careful, well-crafted strategy to make Guyana a better place. That is what we set out to do. Do not be carried away by PPP, suave, and money. The money that they're giving out is not their money, it's your money. So I tell you all what tell them, whether it's WIN, whether it's PPP, take the money. In one case, the government taking it direct. In the other case, somebody didn't pay tax, so they got the money. Now, in both cases, the money is ours. And so you must take it. But when the time comes to vote, vote for the APNU. Don't let anyone fool you. Barrett come from Mahika on a bicycle with nothing. Irfan similarly from West End with nothing. And now they got billions. I've always said to them, if you are so sure this wealth is gotten honestly, put it against your income. They can't do that. Thief man freaking like bad. You want to keep thief man at bay except it pay face like them? put light right from your house. These resources are not their resources. It's the people's resources that they are misusing. I turned to the rice industry. They had a man in the rice industry who had developed fertilizer for them to utilize, who the rice industry was functioning properly under, but the government chose not to engage him. And so rice is in trouble. Rice is in trouble because of the People's Progressive Party. Rice is in trouble because at the level of production, they are not doing the right things. They're going to pick up all kind of variety of rice, and by the time you know it, it lie down. It lie down. And if you don't cut it quick enough, trouble. The first thing we will do is to ensure that there are appropriate varieties to our soil and climate. That's the first thing. The second thing we will do is to ensure that there is proper drainage and irrigation so that rice farmers do not have to worry. So we will sort out production, and then we will sort out storage, because we need the capacity to store rice, the paddy, so that when there is a glut, we can have it, and when the market is fine, we can utilize it. So we need to have storage capacity. And we also need to have markets. What the PPP isn't telling you is the reason why they got people buying and dumping is because the quality of rice has declined to the point where the European Union doesn't want to purchase it. And so they have destroyed the rice industry. And I said to you, we are going to pay careful attention to ensure there's a viable rice industry. My friends, this is probably the most critical elections in our life. And so you need to get out there and speak to every youth. Ensure every youth comes out and vote. Ensure every Guyanese comes out and vote for the APNU. The only option that is useful in these elections is the APNU. We're saying to you, we have the plans, we have the requisite persons, the persons with the requisite training to do the job. Elections. The PPP must go. Thank you.
Guyana massive. The time done reach. We ready. Time to remove the curse. Them copy with plans, but always spin round. Talk about progress, but the people still down. Say it's grand, but it's pure confusion. No structure, no plan, just illusion. We bring vision, they bring stress. Every time we rise, them settling for less. School, road, water, clinic, and...
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Aubrey C. Mr. Aubrey C. Norton. Ladies and gentlemen, this has brought us to the end of our grand meeting here in Dartmouth in Region 2. And like Comrade Norton, the emphasis is on you. Tonight's program is not about fancy speeches. It's about the message that was delivered to you, and you now become that conduit that you will share the message. It is about ensuring that on September 1, every eligible voter goes out and vote. And the emphasis in these elections is your young people. On elections day, if you don't talk to your neighbor, talk to them on the day. So here's a special message. On September 1, bring out your boyfriend, your girlfriend, the side chick, the side man, the woman husband, the woman wife, and all of them. Bring them out to the place of poll to cast the vote for the APNU on September 1. Tomorrow the campaign moves to Region 5 and parts of the East Coast, and then on Tuesday we are in Lethem in Region 9. Long live the people of Guyana. God bless the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Comrades, have a pleasant rest of your evening, and please be safe on your way